Right. A very good morning to everybody on the call.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. So my first question, which is there, is it genetics? That means, do I get this from my parents automatically in the genes, or can it be improved? Say I may have different levels of common sense. I may have very less common sense. I may have average common sense, above average, excellent common sense. So is it because of my genes? So you can put yes or no in the chat. Oh, there are only 31 people, including groups. Can you put yes or no on the chat for the question? Yeah, Gagan, hi.
Hello, sir.
So we are looking at a few more questions. What I want to ask some of the people who are there who would like to share as to what exactly is this common sense? What is common sense as per you? Can you guess? You can unmute and speak, or you can put in chat, either of them. You can unmute and speak also, or you can put it in the chat. The basic knowledge, subconscious part of our brain that is increasing by constant learning. Sound judgment, Madhi says. Pooja says subconscious. Okay. Practical matters, Arjun. Awareness of situation. Okay. Good. Understanding practical matters again came up. No, thoughts and actions of an individual more or less aligned with generally accepted action of public, Gagan says. Okay, good. Let's see what others say about common rational way of thinking. Okay, good. I think many of you have got a sense of what it is. I also have been known to be a person with less common sense in normal matters. Only in profession, my common sense is a little better. So let's look at what is it that Albert Einstein says about. Yeah, you can stop sharing now. I think many of you have got broadly what it is. Let's understand from others. Intuition, sound and prudent judgment based on simple perception. Yeah, you all have got the idea. So what does Einstein say? He says something which I want you to reflect on. He says it is the conditioning you and me get till the age of 18, after which, of course, we continue to change and acquire some more knowledge, but many things get fixed by the time we are 18. This is what he says. I'm not asking you to accept it. I am only saying collection of our conditioning, prejudices, which come with us. I should not do this, I should do that. This is the way to do things. This is not the way to do things. This is what Albert Einstein says. Voltaire says something which is very common. If you ask anybody, maybe if you ask 100 people, what do you understand by common sense? They'll say it's not so common. So this is a very famous philosopher of the past, Voltaire. Also, one more which I saw quote on common sense was, common sense is seeing things as they are. That means not putting judgments into it. and doing things as they ought to be done. This is what also somebody says. Now, these are also dependent on where we are. If I am in England, I have grown up in England, my thoughts will be different. If I grown up in Bangalore, my thoughts could be different. If you're in Kolkata, your thoughts could be different. So the common sense, what we think, somebody has made a comment meaning no difference in intelligence and in common sense. I think there is a difference. So we will try and understand, reflect on this point also. How is common sense different from intelligence? So one or two questions we'll ask. Again, you can put in the chat. Quickly out answer within 1 minute. How many months have 28 days in a year? Please put in chat within 30 seconds. How many months have 28 days in a year? I think we have got almost everybody getting. Uday Kiran is the only person who got caught in this. So even February has 28 and even December had 28. So all 12 months have that. Wonderful. Good. Let's look at one more question. Thanks. I think most of you got it right, which means that people in H&A have a very high level of common sense. Case study 2. Man got caught in rain without a hat, umbrella, did not get his hair wet. How? Again, 30 seconds. Quickly put your answer. He did not have hair. People say, I think this is something used in H&A already or what? Everybody's got it right. My God. Huh? He may be bald-headed. Okay. No hair, bald. I think everybody's got it. Was it there in GMCS or some earlier session? Huh? Everybody got it right. He had no hair on his head. Fantastic, yeah. Fantastic. Let's look at the last question. I think if this also you all are able to answer. Oh, first question is in H&A interview, is it? Okay. But second also people got. No, that is the best part. Let's see the third one. What do you sleep on, sit on, brush your teeth with? Please put in within 30 seconds, quickly. What do you sleep on, sit on, brush your teeth with? 30 seconds. Come on, not even one question. One person has answered. Bed. Okay. Hand. Yeah. Any other answers to this? Another 10 seconds is there. Thought. Thought, hand, bed are what has come till now. So this question, all the people can think, what is it asked and what is it that we thought it asked? We were trying to analyze the question a lot. Yeah, this last one is correct. Chair, bed and brush. Simple. So it is basically we have complicated what was the question. And sometimes we do that in CA exam also. So, yeah, somebody wants to speak. Kirtana, I think you have to mute yourself. Yeah. Yeah, correct. Perfect, Shweta. That was the correct answer. Bed, chair and brush. So good. So if you have not got it, we have to look at possibly. This is just a case study, okay? Who is right, who is wrong is not the question. But generally, I saw most of you have got a good level of common sense. Maybe as we get older, people like me lose some of that common sense. So in our profession, I thought that we can share some of the things which could improve the common sense. So some of the easiest ways of improving common sense is reading. Reading not only our what is important for us in our exam, what is important for our work, could be other things also. Any reading to broaden your sense. Possibly non-fiction is what I'm referring here. Fiction also can add some common sense and some good ideas, but may not be that easy. Maybe listening to some audios, especially when we are traveling, when we have nothing else to do, watching some videos. That is, there are a lot of learning videos in the net. Whether the video is for your exam, online video, some questions, some old seminar, our own knowledge sharing, what we do on Tuesdays, I have missed it, or I missed part of it, go through that again. Old files. Why I'm saying old files? There's a lot of knowledge in our office. It may be there in the earlier, on the same matter, there may be an old file available. There may be many opinions of that given years back, or maybe just an opinion given in another location. The same discount opinion has been given by Bangalore for some client. Same opinion has also been given in Gurgaon or in Pune. So if we look at that, we can get other ideas, alternative thoughts. Whatever we read, watch, hear, all of that is fodder for reflecting. I would say for all of us who want to eternally learn, we need to be curious and ask the question, why? Every time we should ask the question, why? So if we are looking at exam, there is some disturbance. Please mute yourself. Yeah. Books on the subject, whichever subject you have got. Don't assume that what Bare Act you have read or maybe the institute's background material. That is not enough, maybe. Maybe have some other books on the same subject. Our office itself has written many books in GST, at least them you should refer to when you do any work. So what is this to do with common sense? I am looking at common sense from our professional view. So if I'm a businessman, I would say business sense, which is just common sense in business. So I can even coin a word for what I am talking about, which is professional common sense or professional sense. Maybe our own Saturday, learn what we learn, the knowledge management sessions we have, Tuesday in-depth knowledge, general knowledge itself. I have also put something specifically there, maxims. Why did I put that? I put that because where all I can get common sense is what is it that has already been thoroughly thought about, thoroughly decided, which possibly comes through a legal maxim, settled principles of law, you can say. So the second one is on the ground experience of issues and solutions. So if I am working for an advocate, I will get some different type of solutions. Issue could be the same. If I have not dealt with the issue, possibly on that issue, my common sense may not have developed. That type of issues, I should say. So where all we can get better in this type of experience, what all type of experience I can accumulate and which will be useful for me in developing my professional common sense or common sense which I use in profession. Walkthroughs, you know, in audit, we say we should go through the client's factory or his service. We should go through his documentation. Maybe we should go through detailed, whatever the detailed matter is. What is his type of product? How many people are working? What is his turnover? Detailed, I would say, accounts. Website is very important. I feel, especially if we have seen lot of website on different industries, then our common sense itself, our knowledge of that which is applicable for many will help when a client comes to us and he thinks, oh, not bad, this person's general knowledge is good in my industry. Images are very much more powerful than reading. So if I have to look at classification, I would always look at images. Sometimes, of course, the images can be a little confusing, but I would still look at all the images. Then my experience, my common sense can build if I do research. Because what do you actually do in research? You start questioning each and everything. You look at alternatives. If somebody says go right, you go left and see what happens. One more thing which can broaden our common sense in life itself, as well as in our profession, is travel. When I travel to different parts of India, when I travel to different parts of the world, things are different. The law may be different, the people may be different, the way they look at things can be different. All this adds to my common sense. Possibly the next one is very important. Listening openly, without prejudices. You remember the definition which was given by Albert Einstein. He said common sense is a accumulation of prejudices which we have built up. So these prejudices, if I go as per that prejudice, my common sense will be very poor and narrow. If I listen openly, then it can be totally different. If we debate it, if we are vulnerable, what is vulnerable? Me think knowing that I don't know much. Socrates said that when somebody asked him, sir, what is the extent of your knowledge? Socrates said, I don't know the extent of my knowledge, but I know the extent of my ignorance. I am quite an ignorant person. And he was supposed to be one of the doyens or one of the people who had extremely high intelligence. So if I have to do this, listen openly, debate, be vulnerable, how is it that I can do it in our profession? I can do it by seeing that I don't miss any learning session. And after the learning session, if I have any doubts, I can possibly go back to the speaker, reflect on what has been said if it is not in line with my thinking, joining seminars and webinars. In fact, when we get into the presenting of seminars and webinars, you will find that high amount of thought process go into it and lot of common things come to you. What is happening, what somebody else has said. And as far as our work is concerned, maybe the most important one is we are open to review. My work is checked by somebody else in the office, maybe in our location or some other location. Maybe by, if it is a complicated affair, by being open enough to take the advice of Naveen, or we also have QC, open enough for answering the QC is what quality control, which we have third party randomly selected opinions, legal cases are taken, and a third party evaluates and says this could have been done. This is after the work is done. So this quality control tells us, okay, we have missed this or we have missed that. Being open enough to look at it and say, okay, what is it there here for me to learn? That's why I put QC there. One more point, normally in common sense, remember whatever I have put here is not only the experience we have gained in our profession, it's also something which I have taken from Google, etc. One of the points which comes is KISS. Use KISS philosophy. What is KISS? Keep it simple, stupid. So this is a very nice way of saying, go for simplicity. Don't complicate things. So you break up complex issues if they are very big, and then look at each component. So this we can use everywhere. We can use it in audit or in advisory or litigation, refund, wherever. So we can also improve our common sense by trying new things. Number one, who are the people who tried new things? You have to have courage to try new things and then be decisive. I'm not saying be decisive in the sense that I will never change my thought. For that new thing, what you have tried, be decisive. Don't be afraid of failure. If you look at all the people in your life or all the models you have, whoever is your role model, look at how many times they have failed. They would have failed a number of times more than you and me. But they have become, celebrities. They have become so famous and they have invented things in spite of having the same fear of failure. The point is, failure will not stop you. It's only a stepping stone for you to try again. You learned something, go ahead and try again. So there can be many others. Some of it could be the leader instead of a follower. We look at that, right? In H&A, even our mission stays, we want to create committed professional leaders. So be a leader instead of a follower, or be a leader instead of a victim. Trust your gut, but this should come after we have collected professional information. So you know GST pretty well. After that, trust your gut. Till then, don't go by your guts. Wherever you have experience, go by your guts. Otherwise, possibly it's not a very great way to go for it. Also, you can improve your common sense by ensuring positive conditioning. Remember, all of us have got a lot of negative conditioning because of caring people. When I was a kid, my mom would say, "Don't run, you'll fall." This is a negative conditioning actually, but she said it out of love, affection, and care for me, right? But as we go along, let's look for positive conditioning. Let's have positive people around us. Let's have people who are looking at growth. So what for all of these, what is the relevant action? You can also go to Google, which is something which can be used. There may be 7 things which Google says. In that, 2 things you feel are correct. Follow that. You don't have to bother about whether those things which you don't agree, leave it. No. What you agree with, go ahead with. This is an example of a legal maxim, how it can help our common sense. If I know legal maxims, because legal maxims are well settled principles, you can say, and they are hundreds of years old. So there is one legal maxim saying personal right dies with the person. So if he's dead, then no more liability for income tax or GST. Of course, logically, if that business is carried forward, then that liability of the business, rights of the business continue. Penalty. Only if I have a guilty mind. By mistake, if I have made a mistake, I should get a penalty, but it should be just a rap on my hand. Not putting me in jail, not putting punitive penalties, lakhs of rupees penalty because I, maybe crossed a red light. Yes, it's a penalty has to be there. But whether there was mens rea, maybe I crossed that red light when it was 3 o'clock in the morning, not even a single soul was on the road. It's still a wrong thing to do, but no guilty mind. So penalty should be less severe. Natural justice, we have all heard of this. We find department keeping on alleging that you have done this. We have found that you have done this. They allege something on us. Now, whenever anybody alleges something, there is a possibility of even cross-examining the officer. Say there has been a search, there has been a raid. Then you can cross-examine that officer. For example, you can ask him, how you came to this SSC's place. Were there independent witnesses when you started the search? Or were they there only when the search ended? You called somebody from the neighborhood and asked them to sign. You can ask them. They are also under oath. Then they might have made so many allegations orally and in writing. Ask them that you said this, that this is the law. But is this the law as you have understood? Have you not gone through any training session? You can actually cross-examine the officer itself in case he is biased. This is not to be done all the time. In exceptional cases where somebody is vindictive, maybe you can look at a cross-examination. In our office, we have done cross-examination in some cases. Burden of proof. Now, is this something which we are learning today? No, this is something which has been learned long back, but it is there. There will also be, for all these, there will be GST cases also, which will validate these principles which we are talking about. Burden of proof. Department says your classification for the last 20 years is wrong. So who is alleging that it is wrong? Department. So they have to tell that why it is wrong. Why is your classification wrong? 20 years you have accepted my classification. Suddenly you are saying my classification is wrong. You have to tell me why. Lead proof. You can't say this is the classification. You tell me why it is not so. Actually, we need not tell him so. However, practically we may do it. In a reply, we will tell them why we are justified. Remember, this burden of proof may not be applicable everywhere, especially for exemption. Exemption is something you are claiming and it keeps changing. And therefore, wherever you claim an exemption, this discharging the burden of proof is not with the department, but with the claimant. That means us or the client. What about retrospective amendment? Amendment is taken in the law. They say that the classification of items which are made of plastic and electrical is so and so, and the rate will be 28%. Now, can they make it applicable retrospectively? Common sense will tell us, no, it cannot be, because it's impossible to comply with something which is coming later. I would like the people who are there on the call, who have heard other legal maxims, share some of the other logical legal maxims. And why I want them to share, why I want us to understand this is, many times we can learn common sense from the past. We need not reinvent the wheel at all times. So I will give around 5 minutes for this. People who know the maxims, or you know some maxims, can you put it in the chat? There is one here. Procedures do not impact substantial rights. In fact, there is a understanding which is there, which says that the dog should wag the tail. The tail cannot wag the dog. Rajesh Madhi has put something which none of us understand. At least I don't. Service does not include immovable property. I don't know whether it's a legal maxim. It is certainly something which is there in judgments. Okay, Rajesh Madhi says no one can be judge in his own case. Correct. If I have committed the offense, or if I am person in our, for example, in our executive committee, there is something which is applicable to me. Then when the discussion takes place, I will go out of the room, or I will say, I will log off, call me when I need to come back. Pooja says SSC cannot be asked to do the impossible. This maxim, many of us can relate, where the supplier makes a mistake and I cannot check it. Then there is a legal maxim which says that what is impossible cannot be asked to be complied with. That they cannot deny us credit because supplier made a mistake. Of course, if I'm involved in his, fake invoices or circular trading, I may not be able to take all this. So we have one where, but Vinny says de minimis, that those things which are negligent or very small, ignore it. For example, I have 1,000 crores of exempt turnover and I have 20 lakhs of taxable turnover. It can be ignored, actually. Devendra says ignorance of law is not an excuse. This is something which we have to understand, that yes, this is actually applied in most of the cases. Law cannot expect, what is this? I think again that impossible thing. SSC cannot be punished for internal failure of the department. So I think we have got a lot of common thought process, which all, some of it we might have come to on our own also. But because we know legal maxims, we are able to go for that. Strict interpretation does not mean literal interpretation of the statute. I don't know if that is a legal, there is any legal maxim like that, but what Uttej says is correct from looking at case laws. So actually there are a lot of things which are logical, which also case laws bring to our understanding and help us when we go before the officer. Something is very logical. We all understand it, but to explain to them, we may have to quote a case law. Opportunity should be given to anybody to defend himself. You don't know what has actually happened from that person's point of view. For example, there are in murder, even in murder, there are different type of murder. It is possible that I accidentally murdered somebody. I might have purposely murdered somebody. I might have murdered somebody in self-defense. He came with a sword and I just did something and he died. I hit him and he fell down, his head hit the stone and he died. Right? I think some picture I saw. Hero or something. What was that? I forget the full name. So you get so many thought processes like this also. So this it could be logical maxims, as we said, or it could also be from case laws. Now at this point I will stop because I want to understand from y'all what you got from this particular short discussion we had. Reasoned decision. Yeah. So I am looking at what is that you got which can improve your common sense. One item. What is that you got which can improve your common sense? What is that action you can take which will improve your common sense? After that, we'll get into analytical skills. Can you put in the chat? We heard from so many people in the chat also, it was there. Positive conditioning. This is very important because most of us, unfortunately, have a negative conditioning throughout our life. Positive conditioning, Nikita says, and I totally agree with her. Being empathetic. Actually, if you see, being empathetic, thinking what is it on the other side, certainly is going to improve your, common sense. Think simple, straight, don't complicate. Be curious, asking right. There's a book also by Simon Sinek on start with why. And he has also got a video on that. Try new things. Very good. Active listening. Yes. Active listening without any decisions. Clear observation. Very good. Fantastic. Anybody else? Then I will go to analytical thinking. There are so many of us, right? What else? Seek and try to learn new things. Being non-judgmental. Correct. Be clear of judgment. I didn't understand what Kavyashri wants to say. What do you want to say, Kavya? You can write it so that we understand what you are saying. Anybody else? Not to be judgmental. That's what she means. Yeah. Develop perspective. Sushil says common sense can be enhanced through reading. Very true. Remember, I have only focused on professional reading, but it is not that common sense is only professional reading. It is all sorts of reading. You might read Mahabharata, you may read Alistair MacLean or whoever, Arthur Haley. Developing new perspectives, Sweta says. Yes, when I think about alternatives, then my common sense increases. Okay, thanks a lot. I think we have all learned a bit, though most of us have good amount of common sense is what I got from the initial answers. Improved analytical skills. Now again, the question will be the same which we have for common sense. Is it something which is genetic? Do you think there is some genetics in that? I'll go back so that all can. First, we will understand whether do you think my father had a lot of common sense, so I also have a lot of. Is that possible? I'm not trying to prompt anything. I am trying to ask. In common sense, we got fatafat answers. In analytical sense, we are not getting. Does it depend on where I am born? Okay, maybe we have to. I'll ask that question a little later since I got no answers till now. We try and understand the meaning. So, what is analytical? I have a few people answering in chat. I will read out which. What is analytical skill? So, I was asking people to put in the chat. I don't know if this, by the time I got disconnected, Yeah. Analytical thinking, Lakshman says recent analysis and thinking out of the box. The question was, what do you understand by analytical thinking? Analyze the cause and implication from different perspectives. Very good. Shweta says creative thinking and collaboration. I didn't understand about collaboration, but yes, could be a method. Test the hypothesis is what Sushil says. Ability to assess a situation, problem solving skills. Yes. Let's see what else. Extensive understanding on a particular matter, the skill of analysis of fact, analyzing situation from different perspective. Based on facts and figures, no room for presumptions and prejudices. And I think Winnie was the one person who had answered whether it's genetic or not. And I think Nayan also had said part of it could be related to higher IQ, might be genetic also. I agree with Nayan actually. It is possible that there is some genetics involved, but we can improve it. Vinny says not genetic. Maybe Vinny, you can do some more reflection on that. Google it a little more. See whether there is some other view. Let's look at what is it that I have got some quotes. What does that say? A process of creative and thinking, creative and critical thinking that allows information ideas to be organized and decisions to be made, situations to be improved, and a knowledge to be gained. This is what is one of the definitions which I found quite good. There are many definitions, of course. What is the advantage? Advantage of analytical approach is that it is widely applicable and it can provide a considerable amount of quantitative information, even with relatively poor resolving power. That is what they say is, so I don't have all that amount of knowledge, but I have got a good amount of this skill. So that is the advantage is what this person says. This I think is also very important, which I think some of you have also said. When your mind is full of assumptions and conclusions and beliefs, it has no penetration, nothing can go in. And what we can do is only look at the past or improve the past. So this is what is one more understanding of critical thinking and or analytical thinking. Let's see what collation I have done in this. I feel that analytic thinking is a problem solving thinking, which I think even Rajesh Madhi has mentioned. So possibly the steps to improve our analytical thinking is, whenever we come across anything, identify the problem or problems which are there. 1, 2, 3. This is what the client wants. This is what he has specifically asked. These are things he has not asked, but we could provide him this also, because that will make the answer a little more complete. Then gather all the information. Don't start the opinion immediately or the note immediately. Gather the information first and then only look at it. Third step is identify after you got all the relevant information, which was also mentioned by somebody else, look for cause and effect. Why? Why is it so? Then evaluate the data, what you have got, the information which you have got, put everything together and start looking not for easy solution, but for alternative solutions first. A, B, C. Look for different solutions. Then choose the one which you think is better. Test it out, check it out. Maybe by way of, again, we have this peer review, check with your colleagues, check from the past. We have a real wealth of information about the past. Check whether that has worked earlier. We gave a particular opinion. We don't know what the client did. So check with him and he'll say, yes, sir, we applied it and the department dropped the matter, whatever you gave. So it has worked well. You know to what extent it has worked. This will make our analytical thinking, the way I look at a problem, different from jumping to a conclusion. It is relevant to our practice in varying degrees, whether it is in advice, of course, very important. Litigation, certainly very important, because here you are going to give your creative thinking in any amount of thought process. You can say anything you want. You can take any reason. We don't know which reason will suit the person who's listening, the deputy commissioner or the commissioner of appeals or the tribunal member, judge. We don't know what will touch them. So it can also apply in assistance. You know, our analytical thinking, you will come across an issue, you don't know how to solve it. Follow the system. Identify what is the problem or problems, then gather information, look for cause effect, evaluate, look for alternatives before telling them. After that, only choose it and then tell the client whatever you want to say. So it can come in compliance, it can come in certification, everywhere. Are there any other components of analytical thinking other than these steps? Can you think of something? Remember, all of you are doing analytical thinking, whether in personal situation, office situation, client situation. Everywhere you are using this particular skill. Any other components you can think of? Please put in the chat. We'll give 1 more minute. Let's see what people say. Yeah, you can put in the chat as usual. Okay. Mahadev says breaking complex problems into smaller parts. Yes, certainly. In that, identify the problem itself. If it looks quite big, break it up. Certainly. What else could be there? Seeking advice from experienced persons. Yes, actually, this is a very good thing which you can do. And in our office, we have, we have a lot of experienced people within the office, within the location. We also have in other locations. I don't think there is anybody who says, I will not share what I know. I think that's also one of the culture in our firm. Seniors are open to sharing their latest understanding with juniors. Identifying the appropriate source before gathering, correct. Better to have proper sources rather than some general Google methods. looking at problem from multiple dimensions, define, measure, analyze. I think this is the same thing, no? Bit of what we had mentioned in the starting, in some other words. Okay, let's look at what else could be there, or what else I have said. So do not take things for granted. Whatever things are there, don't take it for granted. Ah, this is the way. No, this is not eligible. Don't assume and presume at all. First thing, be curious to look at alternatives. Critical thinking. It's more or less like analytical thinking, but if you look at definition of critical thinking, concentrating on one particular thing. Yeah, somebody says following the design guidelines, not to come to solution during problem identification stage. Very good. You should go, stage by stage, because once you come to solution, somehow then you like to stick to that particular conclusion. Logical and reason thinking, sorting information properly, asking right questions. I think many of these have also been answered. Remember, I am not an expert at analytical thinking. And I thought, okay, but it's a good topic for all of us to reflect. Effective research, somebody has also said, uh, where you're going to get the problem from, where you're going to do the research is very important. Looking for contrary thoughts. Say there is a case law which says that it is allowed or not allowed. Look at it from the other side. Why not? Why it cannot be other way? Somebody has looked at it very practically. Solution has to be win-win for both parties involved. Need not be, it need not be win-win, especially when we give advice. We have to give our independent thinking, which is good. Solution should not lead to solving the instant issue and lead to bigger problem. Correct. It should not be short term. Should not be a quick fix solution which will not last. Out of the box, different thinking also could be one part of that. Looking at it from other angles. For example, you look at one particular advice. Can I look at who is my vendor? What is his background? What is the vendor's vendor? Major vendor of the vendor. What is who is he? What type of thinking he is? What type of issues he may have? Then my customer. And not only my customer, his customer. So if I have a huge amount of empathy for the vendor and my customer, then my analytical thinking will be far better. Prioritizing, they say, is also part of analytical thinking. Rational checklist approach. Now, checklist sometimes stops our creativity. Nothing wrong in checking in the end whether I have covered all my bases. Have I missed something? That is something also we can look at. Let's see if there are any other observations by other. Asha says, yeah, I've already seen that. Yeah. Okay. Tejal. Tejal. Tejal Patil. Oh, I don't know why you people do this, huh? Nayan Sharma said each possible solution should be connected with its pros and cons to help in better client-oriented decision. Okay, it's an observation he has made. We are looking at possibly from Nayan, we can take that all possible solutions should be looked at. So I think we have covered a few thought process on what is it that is analytical thinking and how we can approach it. So the last thing, as usual, is what is that you learned today, either in common sense or in analytical thinking, and what is that you are going to implement from today? Very, very important. What is it that you learned and you're going to implement? And I want everybody, including the people who are on the call in groups, you can put your name and put it in the chat. Every person. Let's try and see how much we can get. Every person who's on the call, all can please put in the chat what is that learning they got and which they are going to implement in their life. Otherwise, they can also mention pass. After the work is done and drafted, a last time review. Gagan says this. In fact, I used to say this is called marinating the opinion. After I used to finish an opinion, when I used to issue individual opinions, before Rupa and others helped me, I would, if it's a big issue, I used to let it be there. Then somebody says cross-examination of officers, they got from that legal maxims, I think. Appropriate way of exercising analytical skills. Okay, good. Each and every one of you can put a chat. We are going to, Vignesh is going to make a list of the learnings which you are going to implement. Cross-examination of officers, which Pooja is saying, Pooja, you should do it when situation demands. It also will create a sort of a respect in the department that you do it. Yeah. The appropriate way of exercising is what Swagat says. Each and every one of you has to give a reply, even if it is pass. What you are going to implement. Amal says, look for alternative options to get the task done. Positive conditioning. Yeah. Anything more? Everybody has to answer at least one. I said, no, you have a choice to even say pass. Trying new things without fear of failure. Fantastic. Enhance the knowledge to enhance common sense. Knowledge enhancement to increase. Good. Keep it simple. His habit of reading. Very good. Very good. Being surrounded by positive people and learning. Yeah. Creative thinking ampered by coming to an early solution. Very good. Being empathetic. No, there is an article on how empathy itself. Not to judge a situation. Thinking out of the box. Rinky says analytic thinking is so important, which includes analyzing the situation or question. Then the possible solutions with their pros and cons. Correct. Keeping things simple, be less judgmental and read more. Fantastic. Remember, Kavya, you are writing all this which you are going to implement in your life. Not being judgmental to understand first, evaluating alternatives to solutions. Very good. Trying new things which probably challenges. Why probably challenges? Think objectively. First identify problem, then solution. Very good. These are all simple, but sometimes we don't do it. Think objectively. Do not jump to conclusion. Steer clear of conclusions and assumptions. A final cross-check process between situation and solution. Fantastic. Nayan has added also. Podcast could also be referred by everyone like Diary of a CEO. Fantastic. In fact, I listen to podcasts of motivational speakers like Robin Sharma, sometimes Tony Robbins, many people. Many podcasts I listen to. Thanks for adding that. Problem is caused by assumption and conclusion in mind. Need to rectify. Good. Be more observant of your surroundings. Manu says analytic skill is the key for logical problem solving. Adds to your efficiency or my efficiency and effective decision making on daily basis. Manu, you're talking to Madhukar about Madhukar or yourself? Applying common sense where not clear or lack of clarity is there. Good, Leela. Active listening, non-judgmental, reading and trying new things every day. I think that's what it says. Okay, my efficiency. Never taking for granted anyone and not only anyone, any thought process. Saying, yes, this is eligible for credit, this is not eligible for credit. Breaking a common complex problem into smaller parts. Very good. Very good. I think we have covered almost, though the concept which we have taken, it's not that I am a expert at this. In fact, if you ask me, these both skills, in my understanding, are lacking to great extent with me. But yes, I would be able to improve it if I follow these thoughts which you have told, which we have also I have also collated. So I think today we are finishing a bit early. Thanks all of you for joining, but put each and everyone should put it so that Vignesh will make a list. Whichever one of you is sharing the computer with many, please put your name there. Put your name and then put what you have learned, or you can also put your name and say pass so that he records it. And we know that all of you have attended this, and obviously you would have got some advantage about this. Thank you very much.